Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Cook, and today I'm going to be showing you how you can 3D print at home. 3D printing is great because it allows you to make whatever you want. The only limitations are the machine and your imagination. To start, where did I begin 3D printing? I started 3D printing about 8 years ago. I was in a robotics team, and our robotics team modeled and made our own parts, and 3D printing was the best way to do that. And now, since those 8 years, I've now started my own small business, where I have now 4 3D printers, and I'm making custom models for all sorts of people. Whoever finds my webpage and just contacts me and say, hey, can you make this? And I say sure, because with the power of 3D printing, you can make some pretty incredible things. So, to begin 3D printing, first thing you obviously need a 3D printer. Now you can get them from pretty much anywhere. You can get a very cheap one from Amazon, or you can get a professional model, semi-professional, from a distributor like this one right here, Creality. Now you'll also need a computer. I will be using just this basic $200 laptop from Walmart, because really, to get started, this is all you really need. For professional stuff, if you want to move faster and be able to have a lot more memory, you can obviously have a full tower computer. But to get started, all you need is a laptop. Now, before we get into procedure, we must go over the safety of 3D printing. Now, obviously, these machines, they melt plastic. That's the way that they work. That's the way that they print. So, these machines get very, very hot. Specifically, in here, where all those fans are, that is the heating element for the plastic. Do not touch it under any circumstances when it's powered, because you will get several burns like I have in the past. The other thing is the heat bed. Now that doesn't get particularly hot. Right now I have it set it to about 50 degrees Celsius, but it is still, of course, very hot. Do not mind the cat, she's just going to be walking in and out throughout this entire thing. But yes, safety. Make sure that when these are on, do not touch them. Because not only are they hot, but there's also spiral gears in the back here, and the belts right here. That if you get your hand into them, you're going to have a bad time. Now that that's out of the way, let's get started with the process of 3D printing. And where does it start? Why, it starts with none other than the computer. So let's go. Next, what you'll want to do is you'll want to find what it is you want to print. Now, you can go about it by modeling your own stuff, or you can do it the easy way by going to a little website called Thingiverse. One of many free websites out there that have all sorts of free 3D models that you can just simply download onto your computer. Once you have found a file, click on the file, wait for it to load up, and then you're going to want to click download. In this case, download all files. And they will download straight to your computer to where you can access them through our next step, the slicer. Now you're probably wondering, what is a slicer? A slicer is a software that generates a certain type of code. That code is what the 3D printer reads in order to 3D print. So it can take most 3D models that you can find on the internet and turn them into the specific code that the machine will need to 3D print. Once the software is all loaded up, you'll want to go through it and set it for your printer. Currently, as you can see over here, I have it set for the CR10S. That is the very printer that I had beside me this whole time. Once all of the settings are set up, these ones you don't really have to worry about if this is your first time 3D printing. Just make sure that your machine is set up. Once that is set up, you'll come over here to the file icon, and you'll look through your files to find what it is you want to print. I'm going to go with the Flexi Llamacorn, since that is something that, for some reason, a lot of people like to buy from me. So, here it is. Once it's fully loaded up, you want to go over here and hit Slice. Now, depending on the power of your computer, this could take a little while. If you have a tower computer that has a lot of power to it, then it'll take no time at all. For a little laptop like this, it'll take a few minutes. Once the file is done loading, you want to come over here to the name of the file and rename it to something that you will remember. This is crucial so that way you do not lose this file inside of your SD card. Now this SD card is what the file will be saved to. Now most 3D printers will come with a adaptation that will allow you to plug this SD card into a USB into your computer so you can save it onto here. So, once you're ready to save, plug in your SD card into your computer, and then you'll come over here and click save. Once the file is all saved, you unplug the SD card, and now we shall return to the 3D printer. So now we have our file saved right here on this SD card. So now, next thing you want to do so you don't lose it is put it right back into the machine. Now you think, well, great, now we just hit play and it prints. But there's a crucial step. See this right here? That's the plastic, the spool of what is known as filament. That, if this is a brand new machine, still needs to be loaded in. So, depending on your machine, you'll have to look through your manual to see specifically how to do it. But you normally would go through the menu on your machine and select to preheat. And preheat, what it does is that it preheats the head right here, where the plastic is normally melted. Once that is warmed up, you then slide the plastic cord right here through the tubing or whatever system that your 3D printer has to the head, and you keep pushing it through until you start to see plastic coming out the end. Once plastic has come out the end, it's all set. Clean it up, clean up the bed, and then now you can go over to the menu. You can scroll through your files, and then you can find the file that you want to print. Make sure, remember, this is why we named them specifically before, because if you do not give them a specific name, you may end up losing the file. So having a name on it that is memorable as to what it is or that you will remember is crucial. Once you have that taken care of, you can now scroll through the menu, find your file, and click play. And that's it. That's the basic format of how most people 3D print. Now, of course, I'm going to state this because I can't remember if I stated it at the beginning of the video or not, but this is a very, very general, basic line of how to 3D print. I can go into much more detail about the settings in the software, about how to set up your machine, how to troubleshoot the machine, but this is just to give you an idea of what it's like, to help you ponder and help you think of whether or not you want to get into this yourself. Does this process seem somewhat easy enough that you can handle it? Then I say, go right ahead, invest in a 3D printer and see what it is you can make. So what if you're not a somewhat big shot like me that has a small business? So what? You can still do it recreationally. There's still people who have tiny little 3D printers as little recreational 3D printers on their desks that they just use to make little knickknacks every now and then. That's perfectly fine. 3D printing is useful for so many things that you don't have to limit yourself to what it is you can use it for. Well, that's about it. Thank you so much for joining me today here on my demonstration on how to 3D print at home, and I hope to see you all again soon.